Text. Content warning. This video may be confronting to some viewers. There are references to suicidal thoughts. In this video, we meet Larissa, a woman with grey-blue eyes and freckles. As she speaks in her cluttered home studio, she wears a visor made from roughly knitted red, white and black yarn, and a pale pink cardigan over a purple knitted sweater. Larissa sits at an angle to the camera, one side of her face fully visible. A dull silver earring dangles from her visible ear, and the nub of a yellow foam earplug peeks out from under a tendril of blonde hair. Text. Act 1. A new Larissa.
I am Larissa, and I am an artist. I'm the proud owner of a 21-year-old brain injury, and I would also call myself, at times, a disability activist. I don't think people with brain injuries, we've had enough conversations and built up a language around the brain injury experience, but it is a rebirth of a kind. I mean, I distinctly feel like I lived one life until I was 29, and now I'm leading another life. I have this theory that when I've lived both lives for the equal amount of time, I'll be unified again, and I think that's going to happen.
The wooden front fence and weatherboard facade of Larissa's home. Legless Barbie torsos are affixed to the fence pales, and metal curios and skulls hang by the screen door.
Because we identify so much with our personality and our minds, when all that changes, it can feel like you're a completely different person. I changed my favourite colour and my favourite number, just like that. I was a bit scared of horses and dogs. After my brain injury, amazing. No fear of dogs. And I've only been for one horse ride, and again, wasn't afraid. I had been someone who loved music, and music was like my biggest passion in my life, and all music disappeared with my brain injury. It just became very annoying noise. But then I got this new interest in what I could see. So you gain and you lose, and these are new bits of you. A new you.
A screenshot from a website titled Brain Injury Matters.
Brain Injury Matters is a self-advocacy group run by and for people with brain injury. The latest thing we've come up with, we made an app about brain injury. I went around the state of Victoria to visit different ABI peer support groups and ask them what sort of stuff they'd like to see on the app, but mostly to get tips about how to live well with your brain injury. The bit that I love the most about the app is that every week you get sent a tip about how to live with your brain injury or your stroke. And so that's really important because with brain injury, you forget all the time. So you might forget to look at the app, but this notification will help you remember. There are apps about brain injury, but there's never been an app about brain injury by people with brain injury.
Text. Act 2. The part-time job.
So there's all these labels and diagnoses and of what one has, and I just see it all, it's just me. So yes, I have a diagnosis of a chronic pain condition or a fibromyalgia, or I have a brain injury, I have a mental illness, I have post-traumatic stress disorder. I have all these things which just at the end of the day are about me trying to manage myself. I do actually call my pain management my part-time job because it's actually quite hard to do, and there's a real commitment involved in doing it. I go to the pool almost every day and do hydrotherapy.
Larissa kicks into a handstand against a brick wall covered in paste ups.
I've worked out that hanging upside down feels really good, so I do that every day. And I also do a lot of something called Feldenkrais at the moment. It is lying on the floor and trying to be really conscious of my movements. So doing really small movements and being interested in them. A couple of years ago, and previous to that, I experienced quite a long period of living with a lot of suicidal feelings, and I don't really know where they came from or why they were there. I'm very proud of myself for managing through that time. One of the best things I did was, with some friends, we started a support group for people living with suicidal feelings, and I reckon that's what kept me alive, having a space to actually talk with other people, but also having a space where we could you could talk about your experiences of wanting to die, but not have them attached with shame. I also find myself crying quite a lot. I need to cry and I don't really know why, and I've learned, and it feels like the world's about to end. It feels like everything is terrible, but I also know that it's not, and I also know that I will move through this and everything will be fine and I will survive.
Still images of Larissa in an orange high-vis vest conversing with artists.
In the last couple of years I've been a bit more public and talking about things and I suppose leading people, and I've got very good at looking like I know what I'm doing and presenting really well, and that's a coping mechanism because the world likes it when look like you're coping.
Text, Act 3, Art, Disability, Pride and Community. A time-lapse video of Larissa pasting paper artworks onto walls.
So a lot of my artwork at the moment is around exploring concepts of disability pride and disability identity and ways that we can own that identity, because I realised for many years that having a brain injury, that I experienced some shame and embarrassment when I would tell people that I had a brain injury. And I was like, but this is silly because I haven't done anything wrong. And I'm working really hard at managing my brain injury and trying to fit into society. Eventually, I worked out that this is because our society has really negative attitudes towards disability, and that I've internalised those.
Headless Barbie legs are upturned on blue paper, feet kicking in the air like synchronised swimmers.
About 6 years after my brain injury, I decided that I needed to learn how to do handstands, and this was going to cure me. At that time, my life was really, really bleak and grey. I just couldn't work out a way forward. But when I did a handstand, it would always make me laugh, so it brought joy into my life. It felt like such amazing treatment, or a real antidote of living with PTSD. And so the way I started doing it was taking photos of myself in handstands and then creating these artworks and pasting them up into public space with little messages written inside them about why I do handstands. And so it was sort of, I think, my way of trying to create conversation around disability experience, and that you can be disabled in many different ways and live many different lives. There's no real stereotype. Disability pride is about trying to reframe the way we see disability and not see it as a negative, and also that seeing that disability isn't a problem per se, it's actually more part of the human experience.
Photos of Larissa with members of the disability community.
I really, really believe in the value of community, and that when we come together, we get stronger, both as individuals and as a whole. And so it was really important to bring a lot of people together so that we could gain strength and knowledge from each other.
Text, do your thing. Text, Women with Disabilities Victoria, empowering women. Text, if you have been impacted by this video, support is available. Call Lifeline on 131114 anytime for confidential telephone crisis support.